G'day everyone, my name is Isaac and welcome to round 6 of the Adrenaline GT GT3 Championship. We are here at Spa-Francorchamps for all the Lobby A action today, and this week I have a new co-commentator alongside me. We had Justin last week, and this week we have someone new. We have Ridwan this week. How you doing, Ridwan?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Another driver gone commentator. I'm very keen to have a go in the commentary booth with you alongside a seasoned veteran like yourself.
I appreciate that. No, I'm very much looking forward to having you in. It was nice having Justin jump in last week for B and C, and it's nice to have mix it up a little bit this week and have yourself in. Spa-Francorchamps, very challenging circuit, and certainly going to pose a nice challenge for our drivers today, certainly to shake up the championship order, wouldn't you think, Ridwan?
I think it's a driver's track. It's definitely a driver's track, so we'll see a lot of close racing, a lot of side-by-side battles, I reckon, because it's an open track, a nice flowing track, and a very traditional, strong track for good racing.
Yeah, we're definitely keen to see some close racing. Let's have a look at the track stats now for you. So 7 kilometers of glorious tarmac around here. Very historic tarmac here at Spa. 20 turns with 97 meters of elevation change. So not quite the elevation change we saw last week at Bathurst. But we do have Adrenaline Rouge. So the run up the hill, that is 40 meters of elevation change. And especially for our pro drivers, that is going to be flat the whole way up that hill. So that's definitely something to watch out for. If you get a good run through there, you can set yourself up down the Camel Straight for a move into Lacombes. And then we move down. If you get a nice run out of Pouon, you could set yourself up into turns 13 and 14. But what our drivers are looking for is a nice run out of turn 16, down through Blanchimont and into the chicane, the bus stop chicane at the final corner to make some moves. So definitely many places that our drivers could make moves, and we're sure to hopefully see a lot of overtaking today. Let's have a look at our starting grid. So Ibn Hamza, he lines up on the pole for this one today. Last week's race winner. Justin L alongside him in second. Smashing Apex in third this week. A great result for him in qualifying. Missed out last week, so great to see him back and up the pointy end this week. Curving Texas, his debut in Adrenaline GT is coming out of fourth. Slippy is back this week as well, and he's in fifth. K-Dot is in sixth. Jay Walbutton seventh, looking to bounce back this week, hopefully, after a frustrating week for him at Bathurst last week. Dawsey in eighth. We've got Street Style in ninth. Wrestler in 10th. L. Samwith in 11th. Bazar in 12th. BBL Sin Killer in 13th, and BBL Flash in 14th. So a very, very strong grid this week. Fairly close at the front as well with the front cars. Less than a tenth of a second separating our top three. So definitely going to be some competitive racing this week. Keen to see all the action unfold. Let's jump into the race right now. All right, here we go. We're getting ready. The lights are out and we are away. Hamza leads us down the front straight. A bit awkward for the people at the back because they are still coming through that bus stop chicane. You can see them at the back, and you can see the gap that is already forming between some of the cars at the back of the pack. But we've all line astern down the front straight. Sorry, this is not the front straight now. This is down the hill towards Radion and the run up the hill down the Camel Straight. So Curving Texas still in fourth, Slippy in fifth, and then the cars at the back are starting to drop off. These are the cars that unfortunately, Street Style on the first of the cars that were caught out by that chicane. So a bit of an awkward starting position there for ninth backwards, Ridwan.
Yeah, it's a trait that Spa-Francorchamps is known for. It has a very scattered start for some reason, and unfortunately disadvantages the drivers lower in the grid very early on. I think if you start like around the 10th place mark, you're already 10 seconds down. so it's a bit of a disadvantage here, especially having a rolling start, but we've got a race on, and I think they're able to make their way forward if they are able to work together, especially in the slipstream down Camel Straight, and try see if they can bring themselves back into the fight.
Yeah, no, that's, definitely plenty of opportunities. You can see Street Style already closing up to the back of Dawsey here, so many an opportunity to bring themselves back into the fight on this one. Everyone seems fairly line astern for now, no major dramas as yet. Everyone's just sort of finding their feet in this one, not taking any risks too early on. We saw something sort of similar last week at Bathurst, although we did see the action unfold eventually. Here we go, curving Texas. He's closing up to the back of Smashing Apex for that back end of the podium. So potentially, if he can get a nice run out of here on the Caltex Lexus, he could look to make a move down into the bus stop chicane. He's got Slippy right behind him as well, waiting to pounce. So we'll see what happens. His debut this week, we mentioned earlier, in Adrenaline GT. So great to see some newcomers making their way into the series, and it's definitely a very fast-growing series, Ridwan. Definitely a lot of fast drivers and a lot of drivers from other leagues wanting to get involved and try their hand at Adrenaline GT.
Yeah, definitely. Curving Texas is a known driver in other leagues. He's very quick. He's a very capable driver. He's able to contend with some of the best drivers in the country, and we're seeing it here now. He's at the top pointy end of the field in his debut in Adrenaline GT. So it's impressive to see what he's already able to do in his first ever race.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to see. He's coming in. He's already competitive. Here we go. He's right on the back, Smashing Apex. He's going to have a look down the Camel Straight to make a move into Lacombe. And here we go. Is he looking up the inside? This is a beautiful move from Curving Texas up into third position in that 93 Porsche. Very lovely looking Porsche as well. And now Slippy is having a look at the back of Smashing Apex. So he's inviting himself into this one. Runs a little bit wide. He might get pinged by the game for that. The game is very strict in terms of its track limits, and if you go a little bit over, but I think he's actually got away with that this time around, running a little bit wide, and it's just meant that compromised exit for Slippy has meant that Apex can gap himself a little bit and is now back on Texas again. So this battle for the podium places is very, very close at the moment, very energetic, and it's very good for Hamza and Justin L at the front, who are fighting for the Tuesday Championship. So it gives them a chance to sort of run away from these guys and maybe find themselves in a little battle of their own.
Yep, it's definitely hitting up for the final place on the podium. Both drivers, Curving Texas and Smashing Apex, haven't achieved the podium yet this season, so they'll be very eager to try and get that third step. Further down the grid, it looks like James Warburton had a spin early on, and Wrestler also had a bit of an issue on lap 1, so unlucky and unfortunate for those two drivers. Yes,
and a slowdown penalty for Warburton as well, so possibly going out of the track limits to earn himself that one. We'll see if we can figure out a replay of that for you viewers and catch up with what happened there as Hamza crosses the line to set the fastest lap of the race. So unfortunate for Warburton. He's had a couple tough weeks now. Obviously, tough week last week in Bathurst for him, and looking like another tough week here at Spa. Hopefully now he can just put his head down, have a clean drive from here, and maybe pick up a few places towards the end. And for Wrestler, it was a difficult week last week as well at Bathurst, so a couple difficult weeks in a row for these guys. Obviously trying to fight for the Tuesday Championship, not necessarily the overall championship, but the Tuesday Championship. So we'll want to, especially for Warburton, just try and keep his head down and gain some places here towards the end of this one. Obviously, we do have worse round drop, but on the back of two difficult rounds, he probably wants to minimise the damage that he's going to get from this week, in case, you know, it's slightly better than his Bathurst round and he doesn't lose as many points. Just a replay of that spin for Jay Warburton. So coming into towards Blanchemont here, he just gets loose at the end of Sector 2, loses the car, from 7th place, and that's got to be frustrating. Spins the car back around and gets it going again, but has to wait for all the traffic to pass before he can get moving again. So that now finds himself down in 13th, and definitely not ideal for him, but hopefully he can put on a nice clean drive from here and fight his way back through the pack.
Yeah, definitely. At Bathurst it was a bit of an unlucky one because the Porsche is a bit tricky, especially down the downhill section. I heard he spun a couple of times, so it makes sense given the car. But I think he'll look forward to next week at least, and he might be able to salvage some points here.
Yeah, well, that's he'll look forward to next week. We're at Trial Mountain next week, so this is the last of our real circuits that we're running on for this season. We have 2 more rounds after this. We're going to Trial Mountain next week, and then Dragon Trail for our final week. We're at the Seaside course for that one, so the infamous Death Chicane will be featured quite heavily, I'm sure, across all 3 of our lobbies, especially on heavy damage. It's sure to catch a few drivers out. But here we go. We can see the battle for the back end of the top 10 between Sin Killer and Bazza. Fairly quiet weeks for these guys the last few weeks. Bazza has been missed a couple rounds, a couple races due to sickness, and we're glad that he is feeling better. And will be in the commentary box as well this week for Lobby C. So great to see him doing better and back racing, which is what we love. So he is currently sitting in 10th with BBL Sinkiller not far behind him, and he's chasing after El Samwith as well, who's currently in 9th place. So a few drivers just finding their own bit of racetrack at the moment. Street Style on running on his own. Dawsey on his own in 7th. K-Dot is just off the back of that battle for the back half of the podium, so potentially can invite himself into that party if there is a battle that goes on. We know it's very easy around here, especially when you're caught battling with other cars, to find yourself catching up really easily to the cars in front. So here we go. Apex is having another look at curving Texas here down the Camel Straight, close right up to the back of him, but isn't close enough to make the move stick there, so we'll just stick in behind for now. This is a very intense battle for the last spot on the podium, and we're only 4 laps into this race, Ridwan, and they're already going for it. They're not mucking around. They want track position early.
Yeah, well, this is a very good battle here. Everywhere else the gaps have kind of spread out. We're in a very dull moment in the race, but that's because everyone's trying to find their own rhythm at the moment, and those pit stops are still a little bit away. But yeah, that Lexus, usually in a straight line, isn't the greatest weapon, but you saw that through Sector 1 he was actually purple, so in the slipstream of the car ahead it is a weapon in a straight line. So it's nice to see Smashing Apex able to strangle it essentially towards the front, towards the pointy end of the grid, and I hope he can progress, see what he can do. It's nice to see Curving Texas there as well on his debut. So I'm very keen to see how this battle between these 2-3 drivers as well with Slippy there. I want to see how this unfolds and see what can inspire from here.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. Obviously, as you said, we've still got pit stops to go in this one. Most cars will probably look about the halfway point or just after of the race to come in and pit. It's mandatory soft tyres for this race, so drivers will go from soft tyre to soft tyre. So these guys, it will be all about that undercut. We know the fresh tyres on this game, the undercut is very powerful for the most places, especially when you're putting on the same compound or a faster compound that is fresher. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of these guys blinks first, who comes in, who goes for the undercut with potentially less tyre life at the end of the race. Obviously, as we progress through, that won't matter as much because the cars will get lighter, and therefore they'll not use their tyres as much because there's not as much weight on board. But we'll keep an eye on that as we have a look down the field. As you said, everyone's just finding their own bit of racetrack. Street Style in that lovely looking 77 Mustang, running in 8th place at the moment, just behind Dawsey, and he's got Bazza behind him. So something must have happened with El Samwith. We'll see if we can find out what that was. I'm not sure if you caught that, Ridwan, but El Samwith, who was in 9th, now finds himself down outside the top 10.
Yeah, it does seem that he had a bit of an issue on that last lap. He had a 2-minute 24 compared to his fastest lap of a 2-minute 17, so that is definitely an off, I'd say. But just looking at the fuel though, El Sandwith and BVL Flash, the two drivers in the Honda NSX GT500 from 2000, both of them are doing significantly better on fuel compared to the rest of the field. So it might be a saving grace there for El Sandwith, and hopefully he can try and progress further. Yeah.
And then here we go for El Sandwith in the same corner as Jay Walbutton. Just runs a bit wide and takes too much inside curb, runs the car wide and onto the gravel trap, which slows the car right down and just slows him right up, and now he finds himself back down in 11th. So thankfully that NSX can run quite long, very good on fuel, very good on tyres, so he's going to try and get away with running a longer stint here and maybe pass a few cars in the process. Yeah, we know that the NSX is very good on fuel, just across pretty much all tracks on this game. So if he can save enough fuel where he is now, potentially probably could get away with not having to put fuel in at that stop. But he's got BVL Flash and Jay Walbutton right behind him, both of which will be looking to push and make up places. So he hasn't got time to sit around. If he wants to keep track position, he hasn't got time to sit around and try and save fuel. He's got to make it difficult for these guys, or he will have to let them go, knowing he's on a different strategy. So we'll see what happens here. But Jay Walbutton right on the back of BVL Flash now. They're looking to go side by side through Blanchemont, as the BVL Flash has the indicator on, maybe indicating that he can go around flat through, I believe that's turn 18, down towards the turn 19 and 20 bus stop chicane. Jay Walbutton, a beautiful move up the inside of BVL Flash through Blanchemont to get up to 12th place. So pushing hard here is Jay Walbutton to try and mount a bit of a comeback. Wrestler has dropped off the back of this pack here, so he is just sitting. He's just coming down the front straight now. He's a fair bit behind these guys, maybe about 4 or 5 seconds. But Jay Walbutton now, here we go, on the back of El Sandwith, who is potentially maybe saving a little bit of fuel to avoid having to put any in at the pit stop. And Walbutton is right on him as they come through Radion up the hill, down the Camel Straight. He's going to have a look to make a move when we get down to the braking zone here at turn 7. El Sandwith has a slowdown penalty as well, so cut Radion a little bit there potentially. Jay Walbutton has just backed off a little bit. That NSX very fast in a straight line, so Walbutton not able to get close enough to make a move here. But he is in the Porsche, which is quite strong around here through the corners especially, and I think he may just choose here, Ridwan, to just sit in behind and maybe wait until Sandwith has to serve this slowdown to make his move.
Yeah, that would be the smart option here, because any earlier moves would be just costing you more time battling, going side by side through corners. So the smart move here from Walbutton, which is probably going to be doing, is just sitting behind, waiting for that slowdown zone, and then making a move there. Speaking of which, this is lap 6, so I think we could start seeing some pit stops, because lap 6, lap 7, I expect drivers to want to change tyres and go onto the fresh softs.
Yes, we could potentially start seeing drivers coming in who want to make the undercut work. So drivers like Smashing Apex, who are behind Curving Texas. As here we go, our race leader is in as well. So he is in, Justin L is in. Slippy goes up into second, as I believe some other cars are in. We're just going to watch this. Jay Walbutton around the outside, flat out, are on El Sandwith. That is a brilliant move. We're going to have a look. So, a lot of cars are in. So we've got our race leader, Ibn Hamza. We've got Justin L, Curving Texas, Smashing Apex, Dawsey, Street Style, and Bazza. So a lot of cars in here. Smashing Apex in for his stop now. So tyres going on. Drivers will stick with these soft tyres in this one. Fuel going in for Justin L. Fuel going in for Curving Texas. Fuel going in for Smashing Apex. And here we go. They're all going to come out pretty much one after the other here. So Justin L pulls away. Curving Texas not far behind him. And then Smashing Apex not far behind him. Dawsey now finishes his stop. Will come out with Street Style and right behind him. Bazza and Jay Walbutton is also in, as well as Wrestler. So most cars have elected to stop. The first car of which is Ibn Hamza. And then we've got Slippy in the lead, currently yet to stop. We've got K-Dot yet to stop, Sinkilla, and then the 2 Honda NSXs of Samwith and Flash. So a lot of drivers, Ridwan, choosing to essentially split this race 50-50. Obviously, it's very hard to do with an odd amount of laps, but trying to choose to split this race 50-50 and pit at the start of lap 7.
Well, a lot of them at the start of lap 7 because you want to run 6 laps in your first stint, 7 laps in your second stint, because that second stint you'll be running with a lower fuel load. So you're able to go deep into the race, you're able to look after the tyres a little bit more and have a bit healthier life at the end of the stint for those soft tyres. But crucially here, all of the leaders that have pit, they've come out behind the 2 Honda NSXs. So this might benefit the drivers that haven't pit yet, like Slippy and AGT K-Dot, because they might be able to get an overcut with these guys having to pass the Honda NSXs above them.
Oh, yes. Yes, you make an excellent point, because here we go. We're seeing that with Hamza, who is trying to go side by side with BVL Flash, who still has that indicator on, maybe signaling for him to go past. But Slippy and K-Dot are in, and your race leaders, I should say, have been held up in a little bit of traffic. Obviously, they don't want to make it too easy for them, these Honda NSXs, because it is for track position. But I believe that is Samwith in front, so they may inherit the lead here. Slippy tyres going on for him now, and then fuel will go in. So going to come out behind this group of cars, Smashing Apex, coming into turn 1. Fuel has gone in for Slippy. Where is he going to come out? There he is, just there. You can see him just behind these guys. So not quite the gain I think he was hoping for. In terms of the traffic that you mentioned there, Ridwan, but still, nonetheless, this is absolutely hurting Ibn Hamza here, stuck behind Samwith, who is on older tyres, and Hamza's going to have a look up the inside into turn 7, try and make that stick, managed to keep with him after the up the Camel Straight, and now finds himself back into the lead of this one, and the 2 NSXs yet to stop find themselves running 2nd and 3rd. So yeah, wow. So very alternate strategy, well, very alternate strategies here, I should say, for these two. The only cars now on track left to stop and find themselves sandwiched between your race leader Hamza and Justin L, who has been trying to hunt down Hamza for that first place. So a very different strategy for the NSXs, but obviously they can get away with that. I think they manage fuel quite a lot better than most other cars do, and therefore potentially tyres as well.
Yeah, definitely. Strategy varies from car to car, depending on the capabilities of the different cars. So with a Honda NSX, it's able to slightly save its tyres a bit better, and quite a bit better actually, in terms of fuel. So I guess these guys are trying to do an alternate strategy, see if they can work their way back into the race some other way, like on strategy, and hopefully probably expect the other drivers to be fighting in battles of their own. So maybe you could see El Sandwich, you could see Flash jump their way through the grid with an alternate strategy. They've made it work in Fuji, for example. So who knows? This will be an interesting watch.
It certainly will be. You do make a good point. They did, El Sandwich especially, managed to make that work in Fuji with the alternate strategy of picking a different pit strategy to everyone else. And I think maybe staying out longer, trying to make these first set of tyres last as long as possible and give yourself extra tyre life compared to the cars around you at the back end of this one, will work to his advantage. As we see, BVL Flash right behind him hasn't really been interested at this point in making a move, but as I say that, got very aggressive up through Radeon. You can see the body language of that car. He wants him to get a move on now because he's got Justin L right behind him, and they don't want to fall too far down this pack because remember, these guys haven't stopped yet. But as I say that, Smashing Apex with a beautiful run down the Camel Straight has a look up the inside of Curving Texas, and that is for what essentially is, even though it's 5th and 6th at the moment, that is the last spot on the podium. So that is a beautiful move by Apex, a very decisive move into turn 7. Got a beautiful run up the Camel Straight, and just made that look really easy up the inside of Curving Texas.
Rouge Rouge, he seems to be very strong. Again, at the end of the Camel Straight, as he crossed the sector 1 line, he was purple by I think 2.5 tenths or something like that. So he's getting a really strong run out of Eau Rouge, and then the slipstream from the Porsche ahead allows him to reach incredible speeds and made that move look easy, essentially.
He very much did, and this is hurting Justin L as we say that. Being stuck behind these NSXs, he's finally made his way past BVL Flash, but you can see that Ibn Hamza has disappeared into the distance. He's already coming down towards Blanchimont, and El Sam is still yet to be passed by Justin L. So Justin is being hurt by these cars who are yet to stop, and technically it is 4th position on track. They're not lapped cars, so they do have every right to fight for position here, and they're not making it easy for our championship leader at the moment. He wants to put in a strong performance. He knows that Ibn Hamza is coming for him in the championship standings, so he wants to not let him get too far away and potentially fight at the end of this one. But you can see that gap has grown so much. They were nice and close when they came out of the pits, and now here we go. He's going to have a look up the inside into turn number 1. He does make it stick and pull it off, so well done to him. It was a beautiful move by Justin, a very textbook move up the inside of the hairpin. And we've got Sandwith and BVL Flash on each other yet again, trying to push each other down this front straight a little bit wide through Radion there, the top of Radion for El Sandwith, and now you've got Smashing Apex right behind him. He wants to put a car between him and Curving Texas because he wants to make sure that he locks in that 3rd place, and he's made a beautiful move on BVL Flashes right on the back of El Sandwith now, who has another half-second slowdown penalty for the track limits that he exceeded at the top of Radion, and he's going to let him go. So Sandwith lets him go. I think Flash has a look around the outside. Curving Texas is getting in on this now as well. So everyone wants a piece of the action. There's so much going on here. Curving Texas being held up now behind BVL Flash, who, as I said, has every right to fight for that position. And this is inviting Slippy back into this battle, who had dropped off this pack, but now is able to just push as hard as he can without having to worry about cars in front of him, and is now closing himself back up and potentially maybe looking at a 4th place. And we're going to have a look here. He's going to have a look at the inside. Curving Texas side by side with BVL Flash, and makes that stick. And now he's only got El Sandwith in front of him, who does have a half-second slowdown penalty. So I would say that move will happen as they run through Blanchimont. But oh man, what an exciting set of corners there, Ridwan. Plenty of action as these guys who have already stopped are trying to make their way through the cars who are yet to stop.
Yeah, that was a crucial moment in a race for a lot of these drivers. But like you said, BVO Flash and Les Sandwith, they're entitled to fight. They're racing for track position, even if they are at pit stop then. It doesn't matter. They're entitled to be there. They're entitled to fight the position as hard as they want. As BVO Flash stays out another lap, so he's making 10 laps on the softs. At the start of the lap, Justin made a very assertive move down the inside, and that needed to be done. He didn't want to lose any more time to Ridwan ahead, so that was a strong move from Justin. And then obviously Apex and Curving Texas saw how much time that Justin lost to Ridwan, so they wanted to make a move as quickly as possible as well, without losing too much time, because you don't want drivers behind catching up, you don't want drivers ahead picking a gap. So it was a very crucial lap in the race, and now we've seen Sandwith finally come into the pit lane, and he comes out in 11th behind Baza and just ahead of Sinkiller.
Oh, this is very close with him and Sinkiller. Sandwith elected not to take tyres. Obviously, you know, he's already used the mandatory soft tyre for this race, so technically doesn't have to change tyres, just has to drive through pit lane. And as we said earlier, this car is very good on fuel and tyres, so side by side with BBL Sinkiller, now finds himself in 12th, right behind him, maybe potentially looking to put a move on and try and fight his way back through this pack. Obviously, he's now down in 12th, so we'll have to see if he can fight his way through this pack to potentially get himself up a bit higher towards the end of this one. I'm just looking to see if there's anyone else. I believe it's only BBL Flash that is yet to stop in this race, and he has a half-second slowdown penalty. So Slippy has found his way past BBL Flash as well. I believe BBL Flash not putting up too much of a fight at the moment. He knows that he has... what's the word I'm looking for? It's escaped me now, but he knows that he has older tyres and is just trying to make it to the end and just serve that drive, essentially a drive-through when he needs to, essentially, which is just before, he has to do it before the last lap of the race. So he'll either do it this lap or next lap. Let's see, he's got K-Dot right behind him. So is he going to come in this lap, or is K-Dot going to have to go do it the hard way? He stays out another lap, so it looks like K-Dot's going to have to try and do this one the hard way as well. And just checking in, we'll have a look through our order now. So we'll start at the top. We've got Iban Hamza running away with this one in the lead for the second week in a row. We've got Justin L chasing him down in second. We've got Smashing Apex in a brilliant third position with that great move earlier that we saw on Curving Texas coming up through down the Camel Straight. We've got Curving Texas on his debut in AGT. He's in fourth at the moment. Slippy fifth. BVL Flash yet to pit. With K-Dot right behind him. They're 6th and 7th. We've got Dawsey down in 8th, Street Stylin in 9th, and Bazar currently running in the top 10, so great running for him. Sinkilla 11th, Jay Walbutton 12th, Samwith 13th, and Wrestler still down in last. He's got El Samwith right in front of him now, so these guys fighting for what essentially is sheep stations here, as some would say. And Wrestler, he's got a nice run down the front straight. This Corvette is quite quick in a straight line from what I understand. So this will be a fairly cool matchup watching them. But I think Samwith just has the upper edge here in the NSX. But Wrestler's right there. He's going to have a look down the inside into turn 7. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Beautiful move up the inside. Very well done. Beautiful move from Wrestler. And even though it's for last place and second last place, I think every position counts for these guys when it comes to the overall position tally when we combine the results at the end. It does mean a lot to finish sort of, what's what I'm trying to say, finish higher up in the lobby, because it means that you potentially finish higher up in the overall results.
Exactly. You want to minimize the gap between yourself and the leader, because it does matter overall when all the lobbies are combined. Unfortunately, I think Sandwith had a spin the lap before. That's why he was caught up with that battle with Wrestler. Going through Puan, he just understeered wide behind Sinkilla. It's a bit of an unfortunate race there for Sandwith, as we see BVO Flash finally come into the pits at the very last moment that he could to serve the mandatory pit stop. Is a bit of a weird strategy, not one I would personally try, but you got to try something else. You got to try something different to try and bring yourself into the race. So I rate the spontaneity. Say that.
Yes. No, I agree. I do rate the uniqueness of this strategy that we've seen from both the NSX guys today. Obviously, the fuel is quite good in these cars. It can go on for a while, and tyres. It just hasn't gone quite the way I think BBL Flash and El Samwith would have wanted it to. As here we go, Jay Walbutton around the outside of BBL Flash as he exits the pit lane, and that is for 11th position. Jay Walbutton finds himself up in. So a little bit of a fight back here from the 13th position he found himself on in lap 2. But still probably not the result he was necessarily hoping for in this race after qualifying. He struggled a little bit in qualifying, but still, looking probably to move up a few places in this one. Just didn't quite work out the way he wanted to, and BBL Flash doesn't quite have the tyre life to stay with him through the corners in this one. But we've got the battle for third place is still ongoing, with Curving Texas right behind Smashing Apex, not letting him go. Slippy has dropped off the back of these guys a little bit with that traffic they experienced earlier, but he's still there just in case something happens. But our focus today, we haven't talked about him too much, But it is on this man. He is mounting a charge with only 2 rounds to go after this week. He is mounting a charge for the championship. He's making his mark. He had a bit of a tough time in rounds, I believe it was 4 and 5, or rounds 3 and 4 actually, Monza and Nürburgring, but he made it. He won last week. He's going to win this week. He's going to go 2 in a row. The first one to do it, Ibn Hamza, wins here at Spa. Justin L, your championship leader, will come home in second, and a brilliant 3rd place with Curving Texas right behind him for smashing Apex. Slippy in 5th. K-Dot is going to come home for a fairly quiet 6th place. Dawsey will finish 7th at the end of this one, with Street Stone not far behind him in 8th. Bazza as well on comeback this week. He's feeling better and he finds himself in 9th position at the end of this one. BVL Sinkiller with a lovely top 10 finish. Jay Walbutton, a nice slide out of the final corner, across the line for 11th. BVL Flash in 12th. The strategy not quite going his way today. Wrestler, obviously that incident at the start of the race just put him on the back foot, and Sam with that spin that you mentioned after his pit stop put him on the back foot. But yes, plenty of action to unpack after this one. A nice battle there for the podium places, Ridwan. But I've got to ask you, driver of the day for this week, who would you pick for your driver of the day?
You put me on the spot here, but I think it has to go to smashing Apex. Seeing as it is his first ever podium here in AGT, he's driven that Lexus to a very commanding podium, very strong podium considering he had to fight with Curving Texas and even Slippy early on. So that was, for me it was between smashing Apex and Curving Texas, coming on debut and putting in such a strong performance to almost get a podium straight off the bat. Other recommendations I'd say would probably be Bazza coming in for a top 10. I think one of his strongest performances of the season just after his finished being sick, so that was a nice comeback from Bazza.
Yeah, 100% I agree. Brilliant first podium for smashing Apex, as you said, but also, yeah, great result for Bazza coming back off being quite unwell. He's been unwell for a couple of weeks now, so it's great to see him back and racing, and I can't wait for him to jump in the commentary box with me later on for Lobby C. That'll be really good to watch. Let's run you through our race results one more time. So Ibn Hamza goes back-to-back Bathurst and Spa, setting himself up for a nice run at the championship, closing up that points gap to Justin L, who finishes 2nd in today's race. Smashing Apex, a brilliant comeback after missing Bathurst this week, finds himself in the podium places, and Curving Texas on debut, 4th place. So a great result for him in his first ever AGT race. Slippy in 5th for this one, K-Dot in 6th. Dawsey comes home 7th with Street Style in 8th, Bazza 9th, BBL Sinkiller in 10th, Walbutton 11th, BBL Flash 12th, Wrestler 13th, and L Sam with a bit of a difficult week for him this week. Obviously, things not quite going his way, and the strategy for those NSXs, it was a bold strategy, but it just quite didn't work out for them, Ridwan. But hopefully we can see them bounce back next week at Trial Mountain.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate race this time, but it's a bold strategy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Unfortunately it didn't work this time, but hopefully they can bounce back, like you said. Next week at Trial Mountain, a very flowing track, a very mid-engined car track, so I think that will help the Honda NSXs a lot.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what unfolds when we get to Trial Mountain next week. Just 2 rounds to go in the inaugural AGT Championship. So only 2 weeks left before we crown our first ever AGT champion. We can't wait to bring you all the action next week from Trial Mountain. Thank you so much, Ridwan, for jumping in the commentary box this week. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Been a pleasure to be here. It's a lot harder than racing, I can tell you that much.
And you certainly make racing look easy. We look forward to seeing you all tune in next week. If you haven't already, make sure you go and check out lobbies B and C as well. Plenty of action across those 2 races. So make sure you go check those out. And if you're looking for something else to watch, we do have the rest of our season videos all uploaded for you to check out as well. So if you've missed out on the season so far, make sure you go and check that out We can't wait to bring you all the action next week, but for now, I've been Isaac. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye. Hi everyone, just Isaac jumping in here at the end of the video. Just a quick little author's note. I did mention at the end of the race that Ridwan was the first driver to go back-to-back. I was wrong. Justin L did go back-to-back in rounds 3 and 4. If you're wondering why there is no round 4 for Lobby A, which is why it actually did also slip to my mind, it is because the lag in that lobby was so difficult that we couldn't really get a replay out of it, because it would have just been watching cars sort of lag around for half an hour and not really fun viewing for anybody. So, but I do want to point out that yes, he did go back to back, Ridwan this week, but Justin L also went back to back in rounds 3 and 4. We just missed out on round 4, so we didn't get to see his back to back at the Nürburgring in the wet, but it was a very impressive drive, and he did go back-to-back. So just wanted to point that out in case I don't want to get in trouble from Justin. So I apologise, Justin. I did make sure that I corrected that one at the end here, so hopefully you stayed until the end. But yes, thank you guys.